now just so we can get that going. And then while everybody joins, I think I will do our kickoff. So welcome everybody to the Brewers and Bakers Entrepreneur Panel. It's the first of our 5-session virtual speaker series focused on women in business. So thank you all for taking some time out of your evening to join us for this panel. I'm Kirsten Hennigan, the Adult Services Manager at the West Fargo Public Library. It's exciting to get this amazing lineup of panelists and rockstar moderators for today's panel. I'll be kicking us off, and I have just a few announcements for us to go over, and then a few housekeeping items for today's session before we hand it over to the Ladyboss Midwest crew. So first, the Women in Business series is part of West Fargo Public Library's One Book, One Community programming. We have a total of 5 sessions, including today's panel. If you're looking to refine your business strategy or learn more about business finance options, technology investments, or HR best practices, you can find our upcoming events on our Facebook page and our website to get registered. For those that are unfamiliar with One Book, One Community, it is a collaboration between Fargo-Moorhead Metro Public and Academic Libraries alongside the Historical Societies as well. The group selects a book for the whole community to read, and then each partner plans and hosts programs through the months of August through October. This year's book is The Lager Queen of Minnesota by J. Ryan Strattle. He will be having a virtual author talk on September 24th. You can check the One Book, One Community Fargo-Moorhead West Fargo Facebook page for more details. More from West Fargo, in addition to the Women in Business series, we've partnered with Square One Kitchens and many of the women-owned businesses that call it home to share WFPL Midwest Kitchen series of virtual cooking classes. Some of the featured recipes are chocolate stout and peanut butter bars and a cheddar green chili sourdough beer bread. So tune in to our Facebook and YouTube channel to bring those recipes into your kitchen. They sound delicious and the recipes are great. My last announcement is to encourage you to take part of our Beanstack Challenge. Beanstack is our online reading log platform. You can log on either to log your reading or complete activities online or on our mobile app. It's basically the Fitbit of reading. We create new challenges all the time, like our summer and reading challenge and our winter reading challenge. This year we have one specific to One Book, One Community that's activity-based, and such as attending this virtual session today counts towards a challenge. Once you've completed all the activities, you'll be entered to win one of 10 copies of the Lager Queen book read. Again, we're so excited to offer this series of sessions. For today, we'll have our moderators lead this session, but we want to make sure that we get to your questions as well. So make sure that you use the Q&A part of Zoom in order to submit your questions, and we'll add them in where possible or hold on to them to the end after the conversation. We will, the second note is if you have any tech trouble, this is new technology territory for many people, and we're all navigating it all together. So if you have any issues or anything, just let us know in the chat and we'll try and take care of it. Lastly, we want your feedback. So we have a survey that will go out after the Zoom window closes, as well as it was a part of the email that got you the link for today's session. Make sure you give that a look through. It's pretty short. We want to be able to continue to keep offering great programs and keep improving as well. So without further ado, let's get to today's session and meet our moderators. Laura Caroon and Danielle Moe are co-founders of Ladyboss Midwest, an organization built to connect and empower women all across the region. Laura Caroon is a creative strategist, entrepreneur, and artist with an insatiable desire to see women succeed. Like a true Minnesotan, Laura is a lake lover and enjoys quiet time on the water, reading or paddleboarding. Her favorite place to be is at home in Moorhead, laughing with her daughter and husband. With a background in startups and small business, she's always up for conversations about new ventures and entrepreneurship, especially over lattes. Danielle Moe has a marketing mind with a passion for art, sustainability, ethics, and women's rights. Danielle has spent the start of her marketing career working in an agency setting, higher education, and corporate hospitality. She's now the marketing coordinator at Kilbourne Group in downtown Fargo. Welcome, Danielle and Laura. I'm excited to have you both moderate today.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yay. Thanks
for doing our introductions. I always kind of hate doing my own introduction because I'm like, hi, I'm Laura.
I'm cool.
Yeah, like, thank you. We're really excited to be here and to talk about entrepreneurship. That's something that both of us are in love with and love talking about. So thanks so much for having us.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add, Danielle, before we get started with introducing our panelists?
No, I'm excited to be here.
Yay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I'm going to start in the order that they're here on my sheet, because you're kind of in a different order on the screen. But first panelist I want to introduce is Nicole Steen from Thunder Coffee. Nicole is one of 3 owners of Thunder Coffee located in West Fargo. Nicole grew up in Williston, North Dakota. In 2001, she moved to Fargo to attend NDSU, where she majored in music education with a minor in business. After graduation, she spent the next few years working in the tech space, but eventually moved back to Williston in 2012. In 2016, she moved back to the Fargo area with her eventual business partner and husband, Skylar. In 2017, Nicole, Skylar, and Skylar's brother, Dex, took steps to bootstrap a coffee business, building it from scratch with minimal equipment or direction. Through the years, Nicole has always maintained full-time employment outside of coffee while still operating as a crucial member to the Thunder Coffee team. When she isn't working on the business or for her full-time employer, you can find her teaching yoga to veterans in our community. Welcome, Nicole. Our next panelist is Althea Bain. Althea Bain Fick has always loved being in the kitchen, helping her mom make meals for the daycare kiddos or her grandma teaching her how to cook. By trusting her instinct, she felt connected. Whether she would whip egg whites, punch down bread dough, or roll out lefse, she knew that her ancestors had done those same exact movements with the same exact recipes. Althea was challenged into making cupcakes for a friend's wedding, which started her journey toward owning Cakes by Althea. You can find her most days buzzing around the Thunder Coffee kitchen or cranking music in her own kitchen. Welcome. Next we have Susan Ruud. Prairie Rose is Fargo's first meadery. Prairie Rose Meadery is owned and operated by Susan and Bob Ruud and opened in May of 2015. Prairie Rose Meadery produces traditional mead, honey only, mellow fruit mead, and methylglyn spice mead, using only ingredients mostly from North Dakota. Besides running Prairie Rose, Susan has worked for NDSU for the last 30 years as a research specialist in the Department of Plant Pathology. She has been a home brewer for 24 years, making beer and mead at home, and was on the American Home Brewers Association Governing Committee for 20 years. Her hobby went on a bit wild and became Prairie Rose Meadery. When she isn't working at NDSU or making mead, she lives in Harwood, North Dakota with her husband, Bob, her mom, and her mother-in-law. She has 2 children and 4 grandkids, which all keep her busy and happy. Welcome, Susan. And last but not least, we have Breezee Hennings from Wild Terra. Breezee Hennings is co-owner of Wild Terra Cider. Wild Terra is a local craft cider company that focuses on special experimental cider that strives to change the community's perception of what quality craft cider can be. Mother of 2 strong wild girls and an adventure gal to her husband of 14 years. Welcome, Breezee.
Thank you.
All right, we can get started on our questions. Oh, there, okay, now I can see all of you. I'm gonna get started just right from the basics here. What is an important first step to starting a business, and what made you want to open your own business? Who wants to start?
Where wants to begin?
Yeah, don't talk at once.
Okay, I'll start. I think the first thing you just have to love what your business is about. You have to love what you're doing. If you don't, I would say don't start your own business. But yeah, I think there's another part to that question though that now I don't remember. But yeah, it's just dive in and love what you're doing.
us, the big thing was to make sure we had the right team. So getting the right people on the bus, figuring out who those people were going to be that would get our business started and help us to grow. That was what we've always really focused on, and then everything kind of falls in place from there. But yeah, we've had just from even our owner group and then all of the rest of the team that work with us at Thunder, it's always looking at who can we get that fits the team that's best suited for the business.
I'll go next here. I'll just reiterate what Susan said, because even if you just kind of like what you're doing, you don't really love it, you're gonna come to those, well, for me, for instance, I come to that midnight on a Friday and I'm up baking and I need to get it done. And if you don't really love what you do, it makes it pretty tough. So I'd say if you're very passionate about it and you love it, jump in.
Awesome.
How about you, Breezy?
Yeah, I was just thinking, I don't really have much to add. I just, same thing, like, you know, definitely don't romanticize the ideals of owning a business. It's not, you know, it's definitely fun, and but it's not always enjoyable, and it's a lot of hard work, and you have to be ready to have your schedule and your personal life be available to the business whenever and always, no matter what. So just making sure that you're really realistic with yourself about the expectations of owning a business is really important, and not to just fantasize about owning a business and the fun parts. Those are great, but there's lots of hard work too.
So our next question is a big one. What has been your biggest success so far? And that could be monetary, that could be intangible, it could be a lot of different things. Success looks like lots of different things. So in your personal opinion, what has been your biggest success in business thus far?
I'll just start, since I finished that one. I personally don't feel like I'm successful at anything yet, like 100%, just because I feel like my team and myself included are still learning and working really hard for that 100% successful. I don't know if I'm ever going to feel like I'm being successful. I just, you know, I'm always trying to improve upon myself and in my relationships and, you know, the goals for the business. So I feel like I'm still such a baby. And when it comes to business, I'm just trying to soak everything up and just be really, just learn as much as I can.
That's so interesting, because I look at Wild Terra and I just see like massive success. So
I'm like, we can do better. We can do better.
you're so humble.
Thank you.
I think probably my biggest success is just getting people to understand what mead is. It's like wine, but it's made from honey. It's not like what your grandfather would have made and been sickeningly sweet or, you know, super sweet. It's just very drinkable. So yeah, that's my success, is just seeing new people come in and the joy on their face when they actually taste it. So some of that, but yeah, I'm like Breezy too. You know, we're still growing, and I think a lot of the successes are still in the future, or going to be bigger in the future.
Our biggest success so far with Thunder was opening up our shop in West Fargo. We started with next to nothing, just whatever we could afford out of our pockets, and did that for 2.5 years. So when we had the opportunity to build the shop and have a full operation that was open every day, that was a huge success for us.
I came to your opening night actually, and it was bumping. It looked really fun.
It was.
Well, my biggest success would be that I haven't, or that I'm still alive and my husband is still alive. I'm just going to throw that out there. Sometimes it gets a little stressful, and the fact that we're still kicking, I think, is a huge success.
So transitioning from successes, what are some things that have not worked in your business so far?
Lots of things. I mean, we started our business. Our parents had all had businesses, multiple businesses, and none of us had ever run a full coffee business before. So we failed a lot. And the thing that we learned is that you just keep trying, and you try to remember when you failed before. One of the things that we really tried to do was multiple different types of business streams or different ways to do business. So one of them was a pop-up, and just kind of like setting up anywhere and hoping that people show up. And we realized that hoping people show up is not always a really great strategy. So we got smarter with how we organized our events, who we partnered with, and it's just a continual learning experience.
I'd say that to kind of piggyback a little bit on that is, feel like remembering the failures is it's tricky, because I feel like when it happens, when you're going through it, it's the worst, and then afterwards you're just like, I just want to forget about it. So then the next time someone asks you if you could do a cake or macaroons in the middle of the summer when the humidity is like 180%, you're like, oh yeah, I can totally do that. And then you're like, oh, that's right, this happened last time and I failed at it. So I think remembering that, because there's been a lot of times where I failed, stacking cakes or something like that. So remembering it, I don't know.
I guess some of mine would be learning. I mean, you're learning the processes. Mine is learning my equipment. I have to give my husband kudos here, because every time I break a piece of equipment, he can fix it. But yeah, just learning the whole process from going, because I started as a home brewer, so we went from 5-gallon batch to a 400-gallon batch, and some of that, there was a learning curve there.
Yeah, and for me, I think a lot of entrepreneurs were very independent, and I especially really stubborn person. And so female vulnerability is a really hard thing when you're trying to be a powerful business owner. You don't want people to view you as, unintelligent, or that, making mistakes can feel like we're not powerful and we don't make wise decisions. It's really hard. Failure happens regardless. But I've been in a lot of situations where it's just been me and a room full of men, and my husband's there too, and they will all be talking to my husband, and nobody will be looking at me. And so it's just having to stand up and use your voice, but still know that you probably don't have all the answers has been really, we had to change state laws to get our business model functioning. And just, so to speak, in front of state senators, with little experience really, which is it's intimidating. And to not let that intimidation take away from how I view myself as being an intelligent, strong woman. I can make mistakes, and it doesn't mean that I'm not smart enough to, do the job.
You all kind of touched on this next question a little bit, but what is a challenge that you've had that you didn't expect to be so difficult? To me, probably COVID is the main big challenge that a lot of small businesses are facing. So what was that challenge that you didn't expect to be so difficult, and how'd you get through it?
Well, yeah, I would say you're talking about the COVID. This has definitely been an interesting, quote unquote, year. Yeah, just getting through all of this, changing up, learning, learning different ways to do business, doing more online business. It's always challenging. Yeah. One of the big things I guess I find as a challenge is doing all the paperwork, with, especially an alcohol business. It's a lot of fun.
Lots of paperwork.
How have your businesses been affected by COVID-19, and how are you overcoming that?
Well, I guess just having the state open up, which I'm very nervous about anyway, but it does bring more customers in. That was our, we put in an outdoor patio, so we do have space outdoors. But yeah, we walk through and sanitize everything every day. You end up putting in a little more work, but it's definitely business is picking back up. The month of March and April were pretty much a wash. We could have just as well closed. Spent more time there, just sitting there staring off into space.
Yeah. Well, Wild Terra's been okay. We thankfully had just purchased a canning line. We just started canning our cider in November, and had we not had that, I don't even want to think about what we would be doing, or not doing rather. So we're just really thankful that we have really, the community's been really supportive. We have really amazing regular customers that's come in and just given us their love and support. And, we just came for the alcohol industry, like winter is usually North Dakota are really lean months. So we just operated as though we were still in winter, just operated really lean. And we still worked every day. Ethan and I, we were still at Wild Terra every day, 7 days a week, even though, it wasn't normal operations. So we were homeschooling our kids too, like a lot of other parents. So we just played lots of games and drank lots of cider and somehow got through it.
Where do you have distribution for your canning then?
Right now, it's just been in Fargo. We're just having a hard time keeping it in stock. We're at Thunder Coffee, and we're a couple of Happy Harry's, a couple of small spots, but we're going into Minnesota at the end of this year, beginning of next year. So it's been good for us. It's not the year that we wanted like everyone else, but there's growth happening, and we're happy to have it. So
awesome. Anyone else?
Our drive-through saved us for sure, going through COVID. One of our lender, actually, Dakota Business Lending, Steve, was amazing and had been talking to us for months and months before we even found the space. And he said, you should really have a place with a drive-through just because of winter. And we're so glad that we did, because that helped us so much. And we had so many people come through the drive-through that was very much like Breezee at Wild Terra. They were just super supportive and really helpful. And we continued to have our awesome team come in and do projects, either working in the shop or doing projects at home. So we modified our space inside, but we were able to at least pull through with just a skeleton crew most days throughout COVID. And we're so happy that we're open again now, because everybody's, I think, very eager to have that sense of community again, to be around other people, to be able to at least see people face to face, even if they are wearing masks. So yeah.
To throw mine out there, mine changed where I did a lot smaller, more intricate cakes. So it was kind of cool for me to be able to work a little bit more on my skill set, as opposed to, instead of maybe doing 2 dozen cupcakes, I did a small specialty cake, and I really got to focus on it. So definitely different, but I'm faster at frosting a cake now, so.
Awesome. So being an entrepreneur obviously takes courage and perseverance. We just touched on it with COVID, but what keeps you going through really hard times or moments where you just want to give up?
Oh, I think part of being an entrepreneur is that you have to have that hidden drive to never give up. And I think I've either been blessed or cursed, however you want to call it, with that drive. Like, I've always had that personality. You just don't ever stop until it's done. And that's been one of my personal drivers, but also I think having a business, when you see the community support rally around you, or when you're, you know, a customer who you've never met before gives you compliments on your business and how they're so thankful that you're open, and that they love your product, that is a really big encourager too.
I like to say, I call it my smile file. And so I bank these things in my head. So when I'm having a tough time where I'm not like, I'm just like, oh, I can't do this. I remember, you know, dropping the cake off and the little 3-year-old screaming, seeing it, like just so excited. So, I mean, that's what keeps me going besides the drive. Yeah. Cause I think I'm wired very similar to Nicole. You just do it. But I think that makes it a little bit easier knowing that you're going to see the excitement on someone's face when they see the end product.
I love that. I think we should all have a little smile file.
I haven't done
Yeah, I mean,
that's my smile file.
What's
Yeah.
your
I think I'm the same way. I'm just too stubborn to give up at all. So, you think, well, we'll get through it. You know, better time. You know, especially as COVID, it will end, and we'll get back to normal business. One of the things that's really working well for us now this summer, and hopefully Nicole's the same way, we're down at the farmers market downtown Saturday mornings. We do very well down there. I love that market, so that always helps being around and seeing other individuals down there. You know, it's like kind of almost gets to be a family.
Yeah, it's great that they've been able to figure out a safe way to still do the market and support all those small businesses on a really high impact day. So that's been awesome to see.
I guess for me, what everyone else said, I agree with. Just having those customers, knowing that, having them reach out and say that they support you and they appreciate you is amazing. I just, it's hard. I'm also very impatient, so I want to be like 1,000% today, yesterday. And so a big motivator for me is just knowing that myself and my team, we're gonna just, which is when I say my team, it's like my husband and one other person, but just knowing that we have so much potential we haven't even tapped into yet. We're just, I know that we can do so much better than what we're doing now, and there's so many amazing things that we haven't yet, you know, done. And just knowing that future is ahead of us, and you know, people say that they love us now. I'm like, well, just wait until you see us next year. Like, it's gonna be bomb next year. So that's just like motivates me, because I just know that like I can do it so much better. Just like, give me one more day, I can do it better tomorrow. So that's something that like gets me up in the morning. Like, tomorrow's gonna be like better than today, you know.
Awesome.
We have a question from Jewel. She asks, what are some ways that you find support from women in the community?
Well, I would say probably 2/3 of our customers are more women than men, although some days that isn't true either. So, but yeah, I've got a couple of a jewelry group that comes, Park Lane. They come and have their meetings there monthly, things like that. Yeah. Not really sure on.
think I've had a few experiences where there's a lot of times where you're just, I don't know, feeling bad or having a bad day, and you'll just see another business owner and she's like, oh, I totally get it. Like, I know exactly how you feel. And just, you don't have to even say it. You're like, it's been a bad day and like, it's okay. And it like, just knowing like, yep, I had a bad day too. Like, that's nice. Just know people like also are having a bad day and like, it's normal. It's okay.
Let's see. We have another question from Carissa. And she says, for Breezee and all, what strategies do you use to maintain confidence when working in male-dominated environments when your voice doesn't feel valued? So I guess maybe the question is more just around the booze industry or the brewing industry.
Yeah.
So how do you stay confident as a woman in that space?
Well, Susan's been doing it longer than me. I don't know. What do you think?
You know what? I don't even think of, in some ways, I don't even think of myself as a woman when I'm dealing with men. I'm a business person and I know my business well enough. In mead making, I probably could make mead better than 95% of the mead makers. So I do well in even commercial competition stuff. So I don't even really think about it. I don't let them intimidate me because I know my stuff well enough.
Your confidence comes from like your knowledge of the product.
Right. Yeah.
Good for you. That's awesome.
So, and when you're out there and you know you're doing a good job, I have had a few men come into the meadery and I'll be behind the bar and they don't even know what's going on and they do have to mansplain to me how to make mead. I just smile at them and just yeah, it's not even worth it.
That's so funny. Yeah, I agree. I think that, I mean, I personally was not confident at all. It was a very scary place for me at first because that's just I mean, I'm an independent person, but also I'm very timid at the same time. So that was really difficult for me to be able to speak out. But what I did as feeling very insecure is I would just really practice. Like Susan said, I mean, her confidence came from knowledge, and I guess that happened to me often too, especially when I went in to change state laws, you know, just doing my due diligence to make sure I was really well prepared. And I, you know, psych myself up, like, you're going to do great, you're going to be amazing, like, and if you mess up, that's okay, you know, just to like really reinforce my mental health and know that like whatever mistakes I made would be fine. But just to be really, have all my ducks in a row so that if I got into a pickle, I could always have something to say, at least when it came to the Senate stuff. But, you know, nobody's perfect, and I certainly am not, and I mess up all the time. So I don't know, it's hard. It's hard being in a female in a male-dominated industry. For me it was, and I'm still learning, but I'll get confident one day.
So when you own a business, there's a lot of give and take and compromise, especially if you are co-founding something. Do you have any non-negotiables for you in business?
I think the biggest thing for us at Thunder Coffee was just the quality of our products. We always knew we wanted to have a super high quality product and that we wanted to always have amazing customer service. And so whenever it comes to whatever we're doing, if we're planning something new or changing something, we're always falling back on those two things to make sure that those are consistent.
Yep, I would agree with Nicole there. If I taste a mead and it's not perfect, it's not going to be bottled. I just, I'll either keep playing with it. I have one I'm gonna dump. It's like, I don't like it. It's something went wrong, and usually I can play with the acid or add different fruits or something. But no, it's got to be perfect to me. I mean, to my palate. If it's not perfect, it's not going into the bottle. Okay.
Any other non-negotiables?
Oh, I'll just say, because I personally don't deal a lot with the product. That's all Ethan. So I just manage the business and the front of the house and staff and marketing and stuff. So for me, I am like a no drama person, like, which I think a lot of you, like, there's no time for anything but communication and honesty and just like, let's fix it and move on to the next problem. So for me, just like being really open, like, you know, just if you have a problem, let's take care of it. Let's talk about it and then get on with the day. So that's where we stand a lot of time, which has been working really well because, you know, there's a lot of personalities in business and there's a lot of different perspectives and everybody has to be respected. And as long as you're, you know, flexible and open to communicating with each other in a respectful way, problems get solved and then you can focus on what's really important.
So, why did you pick the Fargo-Moorhead metro area for your business? Was there something special? Were you just here, so that's what you did? What was the reasoning?
I'll start with this one. I kind of just happened upon it. I never really wanted to be in the Fargo-Moorhead area. So I went to school. I wanted to just get, like, when I went to college, I wanted to just get away from everything and everyone. So I went to Grand Forks, which was really far away. But I went to culinary school in Moorhead, and right after I graduated culinary school, I started at the Fargo Country Club, and that's kind of where it kind of just happened. I met my husband, and I love living in the Fargo-Moorhead area now. So I kind of just happened upon it. I don't think I thought too much about it.
Yeah.
For us, we moved here because our kids are here and they're going to school here. So we thought about starting the business initially here in Fargo-Moorhead because of how we saw the small business community. Even before we were owners or entrepreneurs, we had encountered a lot of different folks that were entrepreneurs already, or we knew a lot of businesses that were locally owned and we loved supporting them. And so we thought, well, if they can do it here, then this seems like a good market for us. Also, the coffee market here is still very young, and we thought, like, this would be perfect. We have a community that can support us, and then we also have a market that's very young and open to specialty coffee. So that's why we started here.
I'm curious about how you guys chose where to open your brick and mortar. Did you feel like in West Fargo there was kind of an underserved market in that space, or because you guys are in a very new part of town?
We are. We searched for about 8 months for a location, and every time we found a new retail spot, we kept feeling like we had to compromise on something really big for that location. So we knew we didn't want to be right downtown Fargo because there were already so many really great shops down there. We wanted to kind of spread the love, so to speak, of specialty coffee. And so when we happened upon this spot in West Fargo, we learned about the economic development that was happening in West Fargo and all that the city was putting into this area and what it will develop into. We thought that's so awesome. We'll be one of the first companies that'll be here and help develop that community and what it'll look like and kind of help shape it as it grows.
Awesome. That's great.
So I want to know how each of you gets the word out about your business, especially in the beginning. How did people find out about you?
A lot of social media, Facebook, Instagram. That's the least expensive. I think we did a few ads in the paper. Actually, the biggest thing was if somebody writes a story about you in the newspaper, in a magazine. You get a lot out of that.
Did you start at the Red River Market right away, Susan?
We've been there, I think this is our 3rd or 4th year. I think we missed the 1st year. But yeah, the Red River Market has been good, and that's good advertising. I mean, people see you, and it's such a fun location.
Mm-hmm.
I had almost the opposite experience at Wild Terra. I feel like people were too interested in Wild Terra right away. And when I say that, it was because we had no idea what we were doing at like 0%. And so, you know, it was our first business. It was our first business in the industry. And, you know, we loved getting all of the customers, but I wish that we had the time to grow slowly because so many people saw so many of our mistakes that just seem so ridiculous now, but just because we were so new and inexperienced. So that was my only thing that it seems like a weird thing to regret and to feel upset about, but I just wish that we had time to grow, you know, more slowly and smaller, just because we could vet out all those little simple formatting problems and things that, you know, are amazing today, but, you know, if you came in day 1 through the 1st year, you probably got a completely different experience.
Did you guys hear the question?
No.
You cut out for a minute. We're just talking about how did you get the word out about your business, especially in the beginning?
So side note, the reason why we keep cutting out is our internet's kind of funny today, and it's really odd because I told Althea to come to the shop, to the coffee shop for this, because we have amazing internet, and today it decides not to work really well. But we do as much free as we can when it comes to getting the word out about our business, and social media has been super awesome. Also, Skylar is the best spokesperson for our business and like any other business. If he knows what you do, then he will promote you and try to get your business to work with other businesses. He's really amazing at creating connections and just getting other people to know about what we do. Also, Dexter works at Drecker, and we've developed amazing partnerships with them, with the work that he does there, and he's just, you know, a funny, outgoing guy, so he makes friends really easily and tells everybody about Thunder Coffee and what we do, and so that's been the biggest help, is not just the social media part, but also having connections with other businesses that we get to work with, and then we kind of co-promote each other.
I'll piggyback on that. Skylar's been great for Cakes by Althea as well, which is awesome. Mine, I guess, is a lot of social media and word of mouth, which is really great. I have a big family, and so they all like to talk to people, and they like to spread the word as well. So I've been blessed to have that. But social media is my the main way that I get the word out, and I'm not great at social media, so sometimes the word doesn't get out there very well. But
so each of you fill very unique spaces of the food industry, and you all have your own unique flavor and atmosphere and branding. So how did you build your team to keep that same authenticity that you have, and has that been a difficult process?
I guess our team is just Bob and I pretty much just tell him, like, this is what we're doing. But yeah, I think, yeah, I pretty much do all for on the branding and that. Decided.
Oh, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I guess I don't know. We have a really small team. It's kind of like Susan. It's really just Ethan and I pretty much doing everything. You know, we have some assistants in the production room. Our bartenders are great. You know, it's been really nice that we have somebody. It's the sun's out. Okay, there we go. It's amazing that we have so many people that want to work at Wild Terra. So just having, and they always have such great energy and like personality. So they really, you know, I work all day upstairs in my office, and then having them like ready to just like have this amazing shift in the evening is just motivating me, and just they just really reinforce, you know, that drinking is supposed to be fun and a sociable, enjoyable experience. And so they just really, our bartenders just, they're amazing. And you know, we pick, one of the questions we ask people is like, what kind of music do you listen to? Because we let the bartenders pick their music often, so we can learn music to kind of understand their personality. And that's like a weird question we ask, but that really helps us make sure that we have the right type of person that kind of fits our team.
We have a question from Samantha. She's wondering, how many hours a week did you devote to your company in the first year?
Like 110.
How many hours of sleep did you get in the first year?
Yeah. Did you sleep at all the first year?
No, because I still work at NDSU full time. So right now I probably put in 30 hours a week at the Meadery, 40 at NDSU, plus another 10 or 15 here with my mother and mother-in-law, and grandkids. I think you just become a workaholic. Yeah. My husband puts in pretty much he works at the Meadery full time. So
I think that's a really good question, because I'm sure the other ladies will say too that, you know, I have two small kids, and so when we started Wild Terra, they're 4 and 5, and you're working 110 hours a week for years really, and so just really being, and that's another thing to think about before you start a business, is just realizing the strain it has on your personal relationships, on your family, and putting into place prior to starting that business things that's going to support, if you have children, support them, and just be really open and honest with them about, you know, where you are, and making sure that when you're home, that your phone's down, that you're spending time with them, that the time that you have with your family is not just looking at emails and responding to people's Facebook messages and stressing about X, Y, and Z. Just like take the time that you have with your family and just really enjoy it, which is the hardest thing to do in the whole world because it's so stressful, but you have to.
For Nicole and Althea, the question was, how many hours a week did you spend in your first year in business?
I don't even know if that's quantifiable. The first couple of years, couple of years, we just spent as much time as we possibly could. Every spare moment we had, we spent it on the business. And then we very much like Breezee, we tried to take time to just have fun as well and spend some time with our family and friends. But yeah, we definitely put a lot of time in, and it, at least at this point now, where we have the coffee shop, we have an amazing team. They can really help out so much that we get to have a couple of days off here and there. So that's pretty nice.
So I have no idea how many hours. Probably not enough. Well, I don't know. I guess I'm in that space where it's like I can always be working more on it. But then also there's sometimes you need to sleep. I definitely compromise sleep to get things done, and just try to stay motivated until everything is done and completed. Yeah, I don't know. That's a really hard question. I'm going to answer with a word that my English teacher would not approve of, but a lot. That's all I got. A lot of hours.
Yeah.
So Jewel, actually from the audience, she asked a very related question. She says, are you able to maintain balance between spending time in your business and with your family, friends, hobbies, and etc.? So I would probably add to her question and say, how do you know it's been too many hours on the business and you're losing out on your own time, your family time, your hobby time, etc.?
Well, we do have people that will come in and volunteer and help us at the Meadery. So if there's a family event, we can usually get away, or we'll sometimes split it where Bob stays at the Meadery and I go do something, or he goes. So we don't necessarily go together, but we at least get to interact with other family members. But we also, now with the COVID, it's like, well, you can't go anywhere anyway, so you might as well work.
For me, my husband, who also owns a business with me, he had a really long talk with me last summer that I was just like working excessively. I was just getting too obsessed with, I love working, which is why we do it. We love working, but you have to have time for personal relationships, or after you're done working, you're not going to have anybody to talk to you. So it gets really lonely. But I also found that, I was staying really late, and because I wanted to get things accomplished, but my brain was tired. And so I was just spinning. And so I've been better about, if the project can wait till tomorrow, then just let it wait till tomorrow. Nothing's going to get accomplished, by you being tired and doing a poor job at a task. Give yourself the opportunity to go home, see your family, do the job better tomorrow. And maybe you can get it done in 10 minutes versus the hour, because it's 11 o'clock and your mind's tired. So it's okay to take a break. Yeah, you want to work, and you would work 24 hours a day if you want to, but it's okay to give yourself that time, because you're only gonna, if you want longevity in your business, if you want your business to last 30 years, you're gonna burn out in 2 years. So you have to take care of yourself, and go home and drink some wine, eat some popcorn, like watch a movie. Like, that's okay. You can do that. It's not, your business isn't going to go anywhere tomorrow if you don't get the job done today. For the most part, sometimes.
It's great advice.
I am very similar. Skylar has been a great blessing to my mental health, to make sure that I don't get to that point of overwork, because there were times when he would go on a trip, or he would be gone for something, and I'd work, I don't know, until I couldn't even keep my eyes open. And so he's really great about encouraging balance, making sure that our team is balanced, that we have, we're not overworking ourselves or each other or anybody on the team. So I think that it just takes either yourself or someone else who's close to you to give you that extra perspective of, hey, you might not need to take a break just because if you don't, everything's going to crumble. But if you do take a break, or if you do spend that time on that hobby that you love, or invest time in your family or friends that you really enjoy being around, then you're going to be that much more productive later. You're going to have that much more fire later when you are working again.
Yeah, I would say it is really tough to find balance for me, but a lot of my good friends understand that, and so when I'm busy, they usually ask if there's anything they can help with, and my biggest challenge has been to say, yes, there is something you can help with. This is what it is. I think that's really tough it's tough for me for sure. I think it's tough for everyone to kind of accept some help, and doing that, because the people around you, the people that support you and love you, they want to help you, and they want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself mentally as well. And I think that helps balance it out really well, is to surround yourself with individuals that support you, build you up, and not and are really positive people. I think that helps out a lot and helps make things a lot simpler. I don't know if I answered the question really at all there, but you got it.
You totally did. Yeah.
So I want to honor all of your time tonight, and we're getting close to the end here. So kind of a two-part question. Do you have any exciting plans for the future of your business? And what advice do you have for those looking to start their own business?
I guess I'll go. Growth, scaling up and growth for me personally is just what we're focusing on, just being hyper-focused for the business. So just a slow growing so that we can still stay authentic to our vision and our mission, but, just like having a good time and getting as much good cider in the hands of people that want to drink it. And I don't know, advice. I guess I'll say what I would have told myself was like, ambition is good, but don't be too ambitious. Don't be too hard on yourself or, making those mistakes. Don't be ashamed of not knowing the answer. And just remember that it's supposed to be enjoyable, and it gets better after the first few years.
Yeah, I don't know that we have a couple of new flavors of mead coming out again. We are looking at doing some lower gravity meads, so they're probably closer to cider, but still made out of honey, and trying to can some of that. We have one right now, but kind of building on a line of that, or we'll have different ones coming all the time. That's my problem. I can't ever decide on one flavor. We've got a lot of flavors. So that, and then advice is just, dive in and do it. If you think you want to open a business, research on it, research on what licenses you need, some of that. Like in the alcohol industry, you've got to go through a lot of levels of licenses. So just figuring all that out, but read up on it, understand it, and I would just say dive in, especially if it's something you think you're going to enjoy. Because if you really want to open a business and you don't, you're probably more likely to regret that you didn't open it later than even if it didn't work out, you're still going to have had that experience of doing it. I'd rather have the experience of trying to do it and maybe not being able to than never having tried.
So I would say if anyone's looking to be their own boss or start up a business, really commit to it. Don't give up when you hit your first or your second or your 100th challenge, because they will all come. And just remember that there are other business owners that are dealing with the same kind of challenge that you are. You're not alone. So yeah, commit to it, and also to value your time, value your product. Because if you see the value in it, if you see the value in what you're doing, and you don't undercut yourself, then people will ultimately see that too. Your customers will see that, and then they'll continue to come back, they'll continue to buy from you. And I have one more. Treat people, like be good to others, and be ethical, have, a positive outlook on business and on life, and things will work out.
Yeah, I agree with all of those. I definitely think that my goal for my business is to keep it going, keep growing. I'd love that everybody would know what Cakes by Althea is and have had it at some point in their life. But one of the other big things is if you're thinking about it, ask people in the industry how they did it, how they maybe not everyone's willing to tell you their secrets, but just have a conversation with other entrepreneurs and people, like some of the things that they maybe learn from their mistakes, like what's something they did that you could avoid, or maybe you don't know everything that you're getting into, and I'm definitely still coming across things that I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing on a daily basis, actually. But yeah, I think if you're passionate about it and you love it, dive in. It's pretty awesome.
It is. Oh, I didn't answer the what's coming up next for Thunder, sorry. So we're starting to bottle our cold brew, and we're trying to do that a lot more, just getting our product in the hands of more people that can get it in multiple different places. And then we ordered our own roaster. So we currently roast our own coffee on a small scale at another local roaster, but we will have our own soon, and so we'll be able to do it on a much grander scale. So that'll be really awesome.
Sweet.
Can I add something really quickly, if that's okay?
Yeah.
Do you have time for that real quick?
Yeah.
Okay. The problem that I had is I never knew what questions to ask when I met people. How do you know things that you don't know to ask the question to? And also I'm just kind of more of an introvert person, so I just never felt comfortable asking a bunch of people. And so what I did, I read a lot. And I'm a reader too, so maybe that's not your thing, but I just read a lot of books, and that just changed and I just started doing that because I had more time. This is last year, and it's really changed my perspective. It's just like, if you can't talk to anybody in your industry, you don't feel comfortable or whatever, you don't have the right questions to ask, just like read and keep reading. Cause you can get so much knowledge from other people's mistakes that you don't have to know them, successful business owners, just read as much information as you possibly can, because soaking all that in will just help you be a better business owner. So that's something that's really worked for me.
Awesome. Yeah, reading is cool.
Best plug for a public library you could have been in. Thank you.
Convenient.
I didn't do that intentionally. That's how I really feel.
I'll take it. Well, thank you so much, Ladyboss Midwest, as well as all of our panelists, for joining us this evening. It was a great conversation, and I'm so glad that we were able to bring this together this evening. Thank you for attending, and please fill out the survey when the Zoom window closes. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye, everyone.